All right, welcome into the Mizzou Hub postgame show here on Sports Hub STL. Chris Pelican, a hoarse Chris Pelican after yelling at the TV for the last 2 hours, along with Mizzou legend Kareem Rush. Tigers win in their round of 12 SEC tournament game, 85-73 over Mississippi State. And Kareem, let's just jump right into it, my friend. I mean, literally almost everything that could go wrong for them did.
Yeah.
Figured out a way to get it done.
I mean, I'm feeling really good about that win. I don't know about you, but hard, fought battle. As we all know, how tough the SEC is, and every game's going to be a gauntlet. Every game's going to be a battle. So I didn't anticipate a blowout. But looking at the numbers, if we did a little bit of job on the boards and limited our turnovers, I think they had 11 more shots than us. This could have been a blowout. This could have been a 20-point victory, even with Mark, being out. So all in all, I think, the start was a little bit slow, but that's to be expected in a high pressure game. Coming off 3 straight losses kind of does a little something to your mojo. And we were talking, you were texting me saying, it just doesn't feel the same as 3 weeks ago. I mean, when you lose, it just, you kind of got to get off that snide and kind of get that confidence. Yeah, get that confidence back. So I think tonight was a great victory, a great start to the tournament. And, definitely, good to see how the guys rebounded for that 3-game losing streak.
Well, I mean, the first thing that pops into my mind is we'll do the proverbial, if you had told me before the game that Caleb Grill would play the way he did under 10 points, that Mark Mitchell would be injured and not play in the second half. I mean, I think we would have been talking about a 20-point blowout loss.
Yeah.
It just does go to show how deep this team really is. Tamar Bates with one of his best games of the season. Tony Perkins probably does play his best game of the season. And
player of the game. No question. Polls, like you said, this is a fan-friendly show. I don't even ask this question. Tony Perkins was definitely player of the game. His energy, his tenacity, he's tough. He came out and played a hell of a game.
He absolutely did. This is the Mizzou Hub postgame show presented by Hot Shots. St. Louis is home for all the games all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. Also sponsored by Educated Spirits New Rivals Bourbon Collection featuring the black and gold. Visit educatedspirits.io. Kareem,
we're back on tonight.
Boom. We can toast to that. We'll get to more. We'll get to the bourbon in a little bit. But first things first, just wanted to make sure that we let you know in the viewing audience that this show belongs to you as much as it does to Kareem and I. So please let us know what you're thinking about this game, a 12-point Tiger win to move on to the quarterfinals to take on Florida. Got to jump into that comment button. Also, while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and become a part of the Sports Hub STL family. So Kareem, we like to talk about turning points in games. Well, this thing had a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah.
In your mind, where did this thing go from a potential disaster, a potential 4th loss in a row, to a really, really hard fought, great way to snap that losing streak?
Like I was saying to you, like we were texting, I said this game will come down to, key moments and key plays. I think Tony had a couple big layups. I think the Tamar out of bounds play was a great play. Early in the second half, Ant made a couple good defensive stops, but it was a kind of back and forth game. Their guy Josh started to make some shots, some tough shots in their big, had a pretty decent game. So it was a battle. So we luckily had the key plays down the stretch to kind of pull ahead. But all in all, like I said, it's a 21-win team. So I expect this to be a battle. But the guys, persevered. Shout out to Tony, shout out to Tamar. Those guys stepped up because, like you said, if you would have asked before the game if Caleb went 2 for 11 and Mark played, would we stand a chance to win? I would say no as well. But like I said, you always got to have hope, and those guys stepped up.
Yep, 100%. Tamar Bates leads all scores with 25. Josh Hubbard does lead the Bulldogs with 24 points. Here's the Tony Perkins stat line. I think you'll love this. 20 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals.
There you go.
He absolutely fills up the stat sheet on a night where they 1,000% needed it. And Mississippi State has always had the reputation, Kareem, of just being a tough physical team. I mean, It got chippy from time to time. And that's where a guy like Tony Perkins, I mean, he just, this is a guy who's played high-level college basketball for a long time. His body is built to play tough basketball. Yeah. And he was there for tough rebounds, for, going into the lane where Mississippi State is a very good defensive team. So, I know you talked about Tony Perkins a little bit, but I mean, I feel like he deserves all the credit in the world. More more time for you and I talking about him because of how important he
Yeah.
was in this game.
I mean, Ant got in foul trouble, so someone had to guard Hubbard, and they made it really difficult on him. The guy makes tough shots, but Tony did a great job of getting him on his back, snaking in there and getting those, those paint points, and doing a good job of using his physicality and using his size against Hubbard. So again, this is probably the best game I've seen Tony play in quite a while. I didn't see him much before he came to Mizzou, but just how been watching this year, it's probably his most all complete all around game, was having, like I said, the immediate impact on us winning tonight.
We want to hear from you. Right down there, the comment button. Jump on in. Let us know what
Yeah,
you
jump
thought of
on
the win.
in.
Let's
Florida tomorrow. It's going to be good.
Yep. So,
excited.
I mean, I guess the question for you, Florida, obviously at this point in time, we'll kick back to this game in a second, but initial thoughts on Florida. Obviously, Mizzou's best win of the season by many metrics was a win in Gainesville earlier this year. But this is a team in Florida that has just down the stretch taken all comers, and you watch them play, Kareem, and I just don't know if there's a weakness with that Florida Gator team.
I really like the team. They got, like I said, they got an all around, pretty solid team, 27-win team. But again, we did beat them on their home floor. So, the proof is in the pudding. We had beat them. So, it's possible for us to kind of get them again tomorrow. But it will be a tough match. They have a lot riding on it. That they could be a potential 1 seed if they advance far enough in the tournament. So now obviously we want to kind of keep playing well and making our way through the tournament as well. So it's going to be another hard fought battle. But again, Florida's going to be a tough team and a tough out tomorrow.
Yeah, Walter Clayton, all SEC first team performer. He is the straw that stirs that drink in Gainesville. Todd Golden's team playing really, really well. But again, a big win for the Tigers tonight, 85-73 over Mississippi State. They do advance to the quarterfinal round tomorrow to take on the Florida Gators. And Kareem, I wanted to chat a little bit. You mentioned Anthony Robinson, and I mean, it just seems to be, gosh, I mean, it is a tale of two cities, two people. When Anthony Robinson's on the floor and is wreaking havoc defensively, the team is different. So how do you balance that line? Because, I mean, his first 2 fouls were terrible fouls to take.
Yeah, I mean, he's still young. He's still a young player, so with that aggressiveness, he was a SEC all defensive team, member. So, he knows, where his calling card is. So that's sometimes what happens when you have aggressive defensive players. You may get in foul trouble, but as he matures, gets older, he'll learn how to play, aggressive, but also understanding how to stay out of foul trouble. And Dennis can also kind of, give him a little bit of leash and maybe play him too. But like I say, still a young guy. But we feed on his tenacity on the defensive end. He made some couple plays in the second half that kind of kept us in there and kept us afloat. So we definitely need him to be, aggressive at all times.
See, and this is exactly when we talk about turning points in the game. He comes in about 5-6 minutes left in the game. And I don't know if you noticed, but I thought the defensive possessions all across the board picked up with Anthony Robinson out there.
Yeah, that's his thing. I mean, it's like Caleb knocking down shots and gives us that defensive presence, on the ball pressure, and kind of steers our defense. So, it's definitely a tangible difference with him out there on the defensive end. But again, with that aggressiveness, sometimes, you may get in foul trouble. But, all in all, he does a good job of, standing. But, it will come sometimes where he may get in, a couple of tic-tac fouls here and there.
Yep, this is the Mizzou Hub postgame show. It is sponsored in part by Educated Spirits' new Rivals Bourbon Collection featuring the black and gold. Taste that tradition in every sip from Educated Spirits, a company created by our very own Kareem Rush and his brother Brandon. The brand is not just a product, it is a celebration of legacy, culture, and the connections we share over a great drink. Educated Spirits is here to elevate every sip, one story at a time. To pre-order, visit educatedspirits.io. Even if you're not a bourbon drinker, support one of our very favorite Tigers and grab a bottle to display at home. That's educatedspirits.io for the new black and gold bourbon. Educated Spirits, taste the tradition in every sip. And Kareem, we will cheers to that.
You cheers to that always.
Any great late news? Anything updated with the bourbon?
News on bourbon, we selling very well. So again, I appreciate everyone who's making those pre-orders for us. Again, we just locked in distribution for Kansas and Missouri. So Educated Spirits will be coming to a liquor store near you fairly soon. And we're launching with other schools here, K-State, Wichita State, UMKC, and also SLU to take care of, all of Kansas and Missouri. So exciting times for the brand. Looking forward to continuously building it. And again, taste tradition in every sip. Go grab you a bottle of this. It's really not.
Educated
It's really good. It's really good.
It
Trust me.
is. It is. Educatedspirits.io is where you can get that. And Rob jumps in on the comments, and I think he says it best. We needed this win.
Exactly.
What in your mind, Kareem? They lose 3 straight, 4 or 5,
Yeah.
and obviously didn't play. You and I, we've talked about this all year. This is a gauntlet, the SEC. So you can play a decent game and still lose. That's going to happen when you play against the caliber of teams that are in this conference. Having said that, the last 3 losses, we
Yeah.
didn't see the best version of this team.
Yeah. And now
And
to the point where now we're at the point win in advance. It may be ugly. It may be, you may have some injuries, but as long as you can go and play the next night, that you got a chance to improve on the small, minor things that you may have messed up the game before, and keep going through the tournament. So at the end of the day, you win, you advance, you play the next game, and you get ready to go. So tomorrow will be, watching film again. I think the turnovers, also the rebounding, which has been a problem for us all year long, something we can address. But again, shout out to the guys. Mark went out. We had fouls. Caleb didn't play well, and we're still able to kind of pull this out. Definitely a confidence boost for the guys, especially coming off that 3-game losing streak. So again, win in advance.
Let's chat a little bit about the next game. Not so much Florida, but what does this team do, Kareem, if Mark Mitchell cannot go tomorrow?
The proverbial next man up. It's going to be the story that Dennis says, which is all players. You look for an opportunity. Shaw got a little more time in the second half. Was active. Was on the boards. Was challenging shots. He's very athletic. So he'll get more opportunities out there. And again, at this time of the season, guys got to step up. You've been practicing all year long. You might not have played, but you've been in practice. You've been in rotation. You know what's expected of you in your position. So it's your opportunity to kind of step up and shine.
Is that what you see if Mark cannot go, and Mark is a 35-minute a game guy at this point in time? So that's obviously a lot of minutes to pass around. Is that Aiden Shaw's time? Is Josh Gray play more? Do we see Cruz maybe play a little bit more down low? There's no way to replace what Mark Mitchell does offensively. There's no way whatsoever. Defensively, Mark, he is what he is. He's a solid player, but obviously that's not his calling card at this point in time. How would you sort of divide up the minutes that might be missing if Mark Mitchell is out for any prolonged period of time?
I mean, you know what to expect from Mark. So like you said, it's going to be hard to kind of replace his productivity. But with guys like Shaw, I guess you just kind of get a feel of how how the game is played. If we need some help on defensive rebounds and he's in there making an impact, then he plays. But if you got to shift the lineup around, that's one thing that we do have is depth. So Dennis has a chance to kind of utilize a lot of different players, maybe some different lineup that he hasn't done in the past. With Mark being out, it takes some advantage of something that Florida might be doing. So this comes down to how creative Dennis can be, with the personnel. But again, a lot of these guys have had time all year long, so it shouldn't be hard for them to kind of step in and fill a role. But again, Mark is going to be hard to kind of replace. But I think a collective effort, we should be fine. And again, guys got to step up. Tamar stepped up. Maybe Ward come in and step up on the offensive end. So we got guys that can, make up for the numbers. But again, it has to be a collective effort for sure.
Yeah, and still waiting on word as to exactly what happened with Mark Mitchell. I don't know that I saw in particular any moment where apparently it was his knee. Obviously was not icing it or in any sort of a brace on the sideline. So not sure if it was just something that he tweaked and maybe a little bit of ice will do it for him. But we're still waiting word to hear kind of what the final verdict is going to be on Mark Mitchell. I would look at it, Kareem, and say, this might be Trent Pierce's moment to shine.
There you go.
And he's a guy who, we've talked about a lot because early in the year, it looked like he was finding his rhythm. He's a guy who struggled with health last year in a year that a lot of people thought he was going to break out as a freshman. The skills are evident. He can take the ball to the basket. Great spot up shooter, 6'11". Certainly he's not the physical player down low that Josh Gray is, but he's a guy who can get in there and block shots, rebound. I mean, if Mark Mitchell is going to miss any amount of time, I feel like we got to see more out of Trent Pierce. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I like his game. Like you said, I see him more as a perimeter player. So maybe with the additional time, he can kick it down low and kind of show me more, on the lower box. But athletic, got all the skills in the world to be impactful. So with him, is more about confidence. So I think if Mark is, not be able to play, I think him having to step up, we can see a different side of him. He can definitely kind of fill a role that we need. So we'll see.
we're getting a comment here that I try not to say this. So, Kareem, I'm sure you've coached your kids and stuff. I do the same. It's never the official's fault. But someone's chiming in saying they need to investigate the SEC officiating, that Mizzou's getting robbed. Mississippi State shouldn't have been in this game. Boy, I will say, and I'm not one to ever blame officiating or talk about officiating. It seemed really, really inconsistent tonight. I don't know. Did you get that vibe?
I didn't pick up on it. Like I said, maybe it was, but I thought it was a hard fought game.
Sure.
Guys play hard, and players don't tend to. I didn't see any blatant calls that should have been some way, but I mean the game was officiated very well. I don't think it's that bad actually.
Yeah, and you know what? It's. I just thought there was a lot of touch fouls. I think Anthony Robinson's first 2 fouls he was in a bad spot. No two ways about that.
Yeah.
But they were so ticky-tack, farther away from the basket. I mean, the second one, the guy was taking some shot from behind the basket and they bail. I mean, you see stuff like that. And then you see, the darn near WWE wrestling that was going on below the basket, excuse me. And, sorry, Kareem.
No, you're good.
But, it just seemed like it was a physical game and Mizzou was not getting any help on that. So,
those happen 1 or 2 times a game. You might have a back call in there, but all in all, it wasn't anything crazy that the refs missed. I don't believe. But again, 85-73, we got the victory. So moving on.
Yep, moving on for sure. So this is the Mizzou Hub postgame show presented by Hot Shots. St. Louis is home for all the games all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. We're also sponsored by Educated Spirits' new Rivals Bourbon Collection featuring the black and gold. Visit educatedspirits.io. And I do a comment. Why are you hoarse, Chris? Again, yelling at for the last 2 hours. So we will work on that for sure. Hopefully be better. So tomorrow I will not be a part of the post-game show because I will actually be in Nashville for the game, driving to Florida and stop off. I think Brendan Schaefer will get you there. We have an interesting point made about the Eric Sontag always jumping in terms of the betting lines in this one. So Tigers were 3.5 point favorites. That covers easily, but the over-under cashed by 0.5 point on those last free throws from Perkins. I saw the initial one at 151.5. Clearly he got it at, I guess it would be, let me do the math here. We got it 158, sorry. So 157.5. So obviously moving around a little bit, but for the first time in a while, the Tigers cover on both sides.
We covered. Nice day for us. Nice days for the gambling. Shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring the platform.
Yeah. So now we move ahead and we start talking seeding here. Is this something that you've been in this position before as a player who made good runs in conference tournaments? Do you think right now that Dennis is talking to the guys and saying, hey, it's Florida tomorrow. This is the kind of win that, can vault us maybe from a 6 seed to a 5 seed, maybe a 4 seed, is this talk even happening right now?
No. I mean, our focus is to win the SEC tournament. So Florida's next up on us. Getting advancing through this tournament. The big boy happened in due time, but we want to win this and really be on a heater going into the big boy. So I think his message is great win, guys. It's good to get off that 3-game losing streak. A couple things to clean up. Let's hope Mark is not out for long. Mark can play. Got next step up. We're gonna need some more from you, Pierce. We're gonna need some more from you. From all the bigs down low to playing what Mark brings. But all in all, let's go ahead and try to win this tournament.
Yep. Tigers win 85-73. Looking at the stat sheet a little bit. So Tamar Bates, Tony Perkins combined for 45 points. Tamar with 25, Perkins with 20. Kareem, I'll put you on the spot. Who do you think was the next leading scorer after those two?
Somebody probably had like 7, maybe Cruz.
2 guys with 7, Trent Pierce and Mark Mitchell in one half of action.
There you go.
I mean, again, it's wild how the 2 guys who seemingly this team lives and dies with do almost nothing in this game, and they still go and beat a team that at one point this year was ranked in the top 15 in the country. So, I think if we're looking for the game itself was not as beautiful as some of the games they played this year. There's no 2 ways about it, but it is really, really, really hard to not be impressed beating a team like that on a neutral floor when your best two guys aren't doing it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. I felt good coming into it. I was like, yeah, I mean, Dennis is walking in and like, yeah, great victory, guys. That was nice. Shout out to Tamar. Shout out to Tony. Big games from you guys. I need Caleb. I need you to step up. We got to figure out some ways to get him better looks. Mark, Pierce had that first, no, actually Turnley had that drive at the end of the first half that hit, Caleb for his only three of the game. So we got to find ways to kind of create shots for him, because the simple, pin downs, guys are sitting on that, so hard with Caleb. So other guys got to be aggressive, driving kicks, get down in transition, getting those transition threes. They open up his game because, like you said, we were texting. Caleb's threes just kind of opened up the energy for our whole entire team. So not having those, you can definitely see when he's not on. But when he's on, our defensive energy is crazy. So we definitely need Caleb to stand up. And he always comes back, after a poor game and shows up. So I anticipate him playing better tomorrow. But again, this was all, Tony and Jamar, pulling through for us.
Do you think Dennis is talking to him right now about the turnovers? So this was something that was uncharacteristic of this team. I think at the end of the day, what do we have? 13 turnovers, which, if you're looking at this team throughout the course of the year, they were pretty standard. 14 turnovers. They were around 5 most of the year. So for them to turn the ball over 9 times, more than 5, 14 times, that is, that's got to be a little disconcerting. But again, way to overcome that. But what is Dennis saying to them right now about some of the sloppiness we saw tonight?
Yeah, like any coach can tell you clean that up. But the game of basketball is a game of mistakes. So you're not going to go turnover free. We don't want 14. We don't want to be so far over our average. But clean up the turnovers, clean up the offensive rebounding. Again, they had 11 more shots than we did. We can kind of keep that even. This would have been a 15, 16-point win for us. So it would have been a little bit, maybe been a blowout look, but for us, again, great win. Let's move on to Florida. Let's get ready.
Yep. Talking about the rebounds, it is somewhat of a bright spot from the standpoint that your final number is Mizzou with 43, Mississippi State 35 rebounds. So again, the Tigers did better than I thought they would with Mark Mitchell out, with Josh Gray coming in and out of foul trouble. So again, against a very physical team, that's a pretty important and pretty important stat, I'd have to say. So wanted to chat real quickly too. Again, our resident betting expert, Eric Sontag, jumping in. Florida opening up as 8.5-point favorites for the game tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that number?
That's fine. That's why they're the professionals on DraftKings. And I hope that we kill that. So, obviously, as a homer, Mizzou wins by 5 tomorrow.
That's it. Money line it. How about that?
There you go.
Love that idea. Love that idea. All right. Well, this has been the Mizzou. Kareem, let's. I think we're kind of. We got Dan Ulrich jumping in real quick here.
No, but he's talking about the zebras. Talking about the fishing. I ain't got nothing to say about the. I wasn't even paying attention. I ain't got nothing to say about the fishing. We got a dub, so I'm good.
I know. Usually, you just complain about the officiating when you lose. I'm complaining about it when we win, but I will say I didn't like how it was most of the night. So, all right, Kareem, closing thoughts on this edition of the Mizzou Hub postgame show.
Big win for the guys. Clear that 3 games. Skid. Get a victory is always a good thing for the momentum and for the mojo. So, hope Marks is not down for very long, but if he is, next man up mentality, which what all athletes preach and live by. So I know guys be ready. I'm sure Dennis is preaching the same thing. But again, great win by the guys. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Tamar, my players of the game, for getting that win for us tonight.
All right. Well, this has been the Mizzou Hub postgame show presented by Hot Shots, St. Louis's home for all the games all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. Also sponsored by Educated Spirits' new Rivals Bourbon Collection featuring the black and gold. Visit educatedspirits.io. And Kareem, on that note, we will say goodbye and we will see you again. I will not, but I believe Brendan Schaefer and Kareem will have you tomorrow for the Tigers win over Florida. We'll already call that one. Moving on into the semifinals. So, Kareem, appreciate the time again tonight, and MIZ.
Cheers, brother. MIZ. Feel better.
I will.